Hello everybody, my name is Graham Elwood and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Great way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and submit articles like Patreon member Lauren D'Alessandro did. Lauren, thank you so much for supporting the show. One of the reasons I do this show is to get information out there because the mainstream media isn't covering it. And the Patreon and other ways, you all give me stuff that I didn't know about, and then I can share it to a bigger audience. So we're talking about how great the economy is, right? The economy's doing great. The numbers are through the roof. Trump's economy is doing great. Well, payroll revisions wipe out 520,000 job gains under Trump. Yeah, we've talked about not the specifics of this, but we've talked about how, like they always say, the unemployment numbers are down. Well, that's because if you're driving, part-time for Uber or Grubhub or something like that, you're technically employed. But the jobless rate doesn't talk about how people are living paycheck to paycheck, or 60% of the country doesn't have $500 for savings, or people are drowning in debt, and they're not. Those numbers don't talk about that. And then when they say the stock market's doing great, that only literally benefits the 1%. 85% of all stocks are owned by 1% of the population. So we talk about job gains. There's new jobs happening. But if you dig deep, they're actually not doing as well. It's like that video I showed of Tucker Carlson, who said on the surface that the economy looks like it's doing well. But when you ask like Trump's base, how are you doing? They're like, not that great. Not that great. So the big story in today's jobs report would not be the January payroll increase, which was, as we observed earlier, was impressive, surging by $225,000, well above the $165,000 consensus forecast. But the historical revisions to payrolls data, which would be reduced by as much as 500,000 jobs as a result of the BLS recalibration of its business birth-death adjustment. So I know it sounds a little like confusing or technical, and the link is in the show notes. It was on Zero Hedge. What this is basically saying is the recalibration of birth-death adjustment actually brings down how many new jobs and everything that was created. So a lot of these markers, it's just like the Dow's doing great. Oh, wow, awesome. The Dow, does the Dow affect in the stock market does well? Did that affect you? I mean, unless you own a big stock portfolio, and I mean by big stock portfolio, I mean a stock portfolio that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars at the minimum. If you got 5-10 grand worth of stock, did that really affect your daily life? If you had, $500,000 worth of stock and now it's worth $1 million worth of stock, well, that's a pretty big deal, but most of us don't have that. I don't. But the biggest loser here is Trump, as the annual revisions took some of the shine off of one of the President Donald Trump bragging points. As Bloomberg put it, cutting 218's jobs gained to just 2.3 million from 2.68 million. That's a lot of jobs. That's what the revision did. It took out over 500,000 jobs. While the increases in 2017 and 2019 were roughly unchanged at about 2.1 million, meaning that each year under Trump, while still strong, has been slightly slower than the 2.35 million increase in the final year of Barack Obama's presidency. So here's a chart illustrating it. These are the Trump years, right? So these are the pre-revision numbers and the post-revision numbers, right? So they were about the same from 2010 to 2016, right? In 2017, you saw this is where the numbers got really messed up. Total change in payrolls. See? Jobs were in fact growing at far slower pace annually, and after a tumultuous 2018 and 2019, the pre and post series have now converged to roughly 1.4% annual growth, which is okay, but it's not the big numbers that we thought, right? The thing I like about Lauren D'Alessandro, and she sends these articles, and and Zero Hedge is uncovering, getting underneath the real numbers, right? So Lauren has talked about the student loan bubble, like Bernie's talking about it. One of the things why it's significant is it's not just because Bernie wants to wipe out student loan debt. It's because it's a huge bubble. All these payments are going to come due. And if people can't pay them, then what? Right? It's a car loan bubble. Because these car companies have been giving out car loans for $30,000, $40,000 cars to people that aren't making that much money. And when people can't pay those, what's going to happen? Not to mention, we have another thing that Lauren D'Alessandro has submitted to us is that the municipalities have been gambling with municipal workers' pensions, right? So you take a city like Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Denver, whatever, Los Angeles, where I live, all the city's workers, they put their, they get their paychecks and they put a chunk of it into the pension. So there's this big pension fund. So what cities do is they usually, if they're smart, they just conservatively invest it to make it real conservative investments. But cities have been gambling with the money. And a bunch of people are going to go get retired and the money's not going to be there. So getting back to this jobs growth thing, the jobs, but then again, Tucker Carlson showed in that in a Trump-based poll, basically a Fox poll, and Tucker Carlson put it out. He goes, everyone's like, the economy's doing great because the propaganda corporate media tells us it's so great, it's so great. I'm not seeing an increase. I just filed my taxes. My taxes didn't go down. I'm not getting a bigger tax return. My rent isn't going down. My expenses aren't being cut down by 10, 20%. I'm not making more money. I'm not seeing this. Like when Ron Placone and I go on the road for the Progressive Comedy Tour, it's not like, man, we're selling, 20, 30% more tickets than we normally sell because everyone's got all this extra money. I travel on the road and my job is dependent upon people having, discretionary income to go to a comedy show. Like, let's go do this fun thing, comedy show. I mean, our tour is, getting people involved in their local communities and having activist groups and the Green Party and the Movement for a People's Party and the DSA comes out and all this cool stuff happens. So it's more than just a comedy show, but it's like, you got to ask yourself, do I have the whatever, $50 or so to go out and buy 2 tickets for me and my friend or significant other and, buy a couple of drinks and maybe even some merch from Ron and Graham? Like, there's a $60, $70 night. So if people, and our tour is doing well, people are coming out and it's great, but I'm not noticing this like just groundswell of people and all this extra money. I'm not seeing it. Here's the payroll jobs growth, right? Here's the growth pre-revision and then post-revision. See, look, pre-revision. The jobs growth is this great. So this is like September, November 18, January 19, and then it dropped, but the actual numbers dropped way down. See, everything was about the same through 16 and 17. We get into late 18, and then boom, there's this big disparity. Now they're linking back up after everything's nosedived. Hourly earnings pre and post revision, right? Post revision. This is the one uptick. The hourly wages have kind of gone up a little bit. But look, every politician does this. They whatever report comes out, they go, everything's doing great, and the other party says, it's not that, whatever. But you notice both parties, and this is the thing where the Democrats are so dumb, why they should be, rather than just saying Trump's bad, he's corrupt, the Ukraine. Well, you bring up Trump's corruption in the Ukraine. Trump is absolutely corrupt, but so are the Bidens. So are the Democrats. The Democrats are completely filthy and corrupt. And to impeach Trump on these things, they should have impeached Bush then on lying about weapons of mass destruction. But we don't impeach over real war crimes, because war crimes you get away with. War crimes you're given a flag and a parade when you commit war crimes. So what the Democrats should be running on is pointing out these numbers, that they're inflated, the pre and post revision, and pointing out, look, Trump gave a $1.5 trillion tax break to the richest people in the country. It was the single greatest transference of wealth we've ever seen. And that didn't trickle down to the working class. And what that $1.5 trillion, that's the exact amount of money it would take to do student debt forgiveness, right? That's what the Democrats should be running on. We're gonna give you Medicare for all. They don't even want you to have Obamacare, the Republicans. We're gonna give you Medicare for all. But the Democratic Party undercuts Bernie's Medicare for all plan, because the healthcare industry donates to both parties equally. So that's what it's all about, man. So the Democratic Party could use this actual information to their advantage, but instead they undermine Bernie. That's what they do. They're all about, we're the party of diversity, but that's why they won't really get behind Tulsi Gabbard, a woman of color. That's a major in the army who served in Iraq. Instead, they're pushing Pete Buttigieg, whose military service, he was not in combat like Tulsi was. He had this sort of pampered intelligence officer life over there. He's the deep state's favorite, and he's just been concocted and pushed forward because he'll be good for the deep state and the war machine. That's what. And Bernie and Tulsi won't. So I thank Lauren D'Alessandro for submitting this and supporting the show. And you too can go to patreon.com/GrahamElwood to support the show. And also rockfin.com/GrahamElwood is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin and they are ad-free. And Google cannot buy Rockfin. All of us content creators, we're all part owners of Rockfin. Thanks for watching, everybody. Shave your knuckles for justice. Hey, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button. Even if you've done it before, YouTube is undoing that and they're unsubscribing people. Make sure you're subscribed. Share the videos out on your social media. Support what we're doing at patreon.com/GrahamElwood, rockfin.com/GrahamElwood, and come see Ron Placone and I on the road for the Progressive Comedy Tour. February, we're in Tucson and San Francisco. March, we are in Florida, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. April, we are in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. And May, we are in Indianapolis, Detroit, and Cleveland. All my tour dates are at GrahamElwood.com. We're probably coming to a city near you. Join us. You show up alone, you leave a part of a community.